Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Big O Nerd. The original OP is LiveSlice4362, posted to r/Am-I-the-Asshole, August 14th, 2022. Am I the asshole for blowing up on my fiancé after what he did to my daughter's table favors? I forgot I even had this account, and my daughter used it just to be on a Braces support hunt, so this will be my throwaway account. English is also not my first language, but I do try. My fiancé, male 37, and I, female 35, are getting married in September, and everything has been going perfect until now. My daughter, 16 female, yes, I know, I had her young, has recently found an obsession in paper origami. She started with making dollar hearts and moved on to making full-on beautiful lotus flowers and paper butterflies, and asked if she could help with the table decorations by putting paper butterflies on them with our wedding colors. I love my daughter and want to support her hobbies any way I can, so I said she can, and even bought her the paper she needed with the colors. The issue lies with what happened today, and even typing this still has me feeling a little anger. My fiancé, with the addition of my daughter, and I went to check the venue and stopped at a family friend's house who's making our table decorations. My daughter expressed how she couldn't wait to put her paper butterflies on the tables for the guests to enjoy. Our friend thought it was such an adorable idea, but I could tell my fiancé made a face about it. When we came back home, he expressed his concerns about what my daughter said, and said that it seemed childish, and that he wouldn't have it at his wedding. I reminded him that it's our wedding, and that I won't exclude my daughter's wishes after I already bought her the materials. We argue for a bit more, but I had to go to my sister's to help her move. But when I came home today, my daughter came crying to me, telling me she's sorry that she's ruining my wedding with her ideas, and said she'll pay me back for the paper. I asked her what she meant, and she said that my fiancé told her that I was only including her idea and wasn't going to really go with it. I was enraged, and when he came back home, I blew up on him and called him a jerk and an asshole for what he told my daughter. He yelled back saying that we should have found a compromise, and just making this idea without consulting him first was terrible. I do agree I should have consulted this first, but he didn't express any discomfort with the idea, and going behind my back to tell my daughter lies isn't a way to get back to me that he felt that way. I feel conflicted and not sure what to do. Am I the asshole? Honestly, my biggest thought here is, regardless of whether or not you went to him about the wedding, is this really a man that you really want to be with? Someone who would, for his own gain, go behind your back and tell your daughter that you're just simply doing that to make her happy and you don't actually want them and you hate them, and that you think that she's ruining your wedding? I know that you're already furious, but that's a question that I would definitely be asking, because that's a deal breaker for me, honestly. Comments. SmartBake713. Is your fiancé this involved in other aspects of the wedding? The cake, the food, flowers, tablecloths, chairs, music? Or is he only trying to control the part that involves your teenage daughter? Opie responds, we're both involved in many things together, but he said he wanted to be in charge of food because he wants catering and for his uncle to cook some things as well. Which I don't mind because I love his uncle's cooking. I have no idea why he did what he did, but I plan to ask him and have a talk, hopefully. User Basic Bichetti comments, I hope you can resolve this, but don't forget that he deliberately and willfully lied to your daughter in order to cause her pain. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an error. Edit. I would also suggest that you speak to your daughter first, alone, and ask her if this is the first time he's treated her badly. Opie responds, I plan to ask when I pick her up from her friend's house today. User Windermere comments, has your fiancé seen the design your daughter plans on creating? Have you? While I do agree that this should have been discussed between the two of you, it sounds like a simple and, at worst, a harmless idea. It shouldn't have been an issue with your fiancé, and it sounds like he's blowing this issue out of proportion. Also, he's not only insulting your daughter, but he's also insulting the art of origami itself. There is nothing childish about it. It has been around as an art form for centuries, and master artists are able to create incredibly intricate and beautiful designs. Now, I don't know what level your daughter is, but properly done origami is anything but childish. Shame on your husband for exposing his ignorance. But before you continue this argument, it is best that both of you actually see what your daughter plans on making. If she can make a convincing butterfly, that alone can help convince your husband that it should be displayed at the wedding table. And if it is, indeed, childish, then you can take it from there. Personally, I am not in full agreement with this commenter because they're ignoring that the fiancé was deliberately going behind OP's back to hurt her daughter. OP responds, "My fiancé has seen many of her designs and even agreed that some are good. She started making test runs and they're absolutely beautiful. She always takes simple things and adds her own little flair and touch of brilliance, and putting it together with other things on the table makes it look so pretty. It's far from childish in my opinion." Comment from Polyfuckery. You're the asshole for not immediately sitting down with your teenage child and asking if this is the only thing he's ever told her you are mad about. Has he been asking her to keep minor seeming secrets that make her uncomfortable? Has he intruded on her space or privacy? This is a massive waving red flag. He lied to your child about you being mad at her. This was not a misunderstanding. This was grooming or bullying. You need to find out which. The wedding should be placed on hold until you know your daughter is safe with this man as her step-parent. I agree with everything on this comment except for the first sentence. Because that first sentence is such a Reddit-brained comment response of, "Oh, well, I've seen tons of other commenters talking about this, so I'll parrot this." And you're the asshole for not thinking about this. Chances are this is OP's first sign of there actually being cracks in the foundation. And they're already navigating this exceptionally well by being frustrated with the fiancé and not taking his side. Sorry, but you're the asshole for not being omniscient and thinking of every single possibility or outcome or having a perfect response in this incident. Rather than calling OP an asshole for not doing this, you could just phrase it as, "Hey, I would recommend you do the following because it sounds like this could be a deeper rabbit hole than you realize." That is far more constructive and doesn't make you come across as a pretentious asshole. Anyways, OP responds to that comment, "I couldn't ask her because she came to me crying and begging for me to take her to her friend's house. The entire car ride she wouldn't speak but told me she's ready to today. I am worried about what he can be doing when I'm at work and am going to ask her everything." Consensus, not the asshole. August 15th, 2022, the next day. Wow, I was shocked this would get the attention of so many, but I'm thankful for all the comments. I'm at work, but I will give a clear update tonight of everything that happened and is going to happen. Thank you again for all the comments, but for the one person who wished me death for wanting to talk to my fiancé about what happened, I'm sorry I angered you that much. I'm finally off work, and I have been able to talk to my daughter and fiancé. I took my daughter out to eat at her favorite restaurant and told her she could tell me anything that was bothering her, and made sure to tell her that I'm proud of her hobby and would love to support it more. She told me that while I was away, there were many instances where he would tell her that her art was horrible, and said that if I wasn't her mother, I'd agree. I told her that was never, and will never, be the case. I love her art, and always show it to my coworkers. I told her that she was my top priority, not a stupid wedding, and I made sure to spend time with her. Then, I spoke to my entire family on a call, including my fiancé being in the room, and told them that the wedding was off. I confronted him about everything, and told him that he will not shame my daughter and dishonor her amazing work, and that we need a break. We broke into an argument, and I said some things I didn't mean, and he said some things that, looking back, I'm ashamed that I almost let him ruin my family. He packed all his bags, and I'm not sure where he's staying now. His family asked what happened, and I made sure to tell them. I got a few negative messages that my daughter is sensitive, but his mother apologized on his behalf. I also made sure that he gave my daughter a sincere apology, and she didn't accept it, which she doesn't have to do. I also showed my daughter the post, and from her and I, thank you to everyone who supported her art. And we'll make sure to use her butterflies as decorations for around the house and her room. Comments! Beanie Bear Boo! Your fiancé sounds like a bit of a shitty human, especially to impress on your daughter his opinion in that way. I'm glad you blew up on him. Your daughter sounds absolutely adorable, and I would love to have her origami butterflies at my wedding, if she wants to pose to the UK. Lofi responds with a redacted image. This is the closest thing she would send me regarding her paper origami. I'm not sure the link will work since I'm not used to this, but it's heartbreaking thinking about what he might have said to her more about her hobby. I'm missing her from work. User Kitchen Classic 1439 comments, I think that's the worst part in all of this. What if she doesn't even want to do this hobby anymore? He could have now ruined her love of origami because he's an abuser who didn't get his way. I hope he's an ex now. Marrying him will harm your relationship with your daughter for sure. OP responds, we're taking a break, but yes, he is an ex. User parent of a communist comments. Tell her, as a fellow origami lover, when I was in my teens, I'm 39 now, learn the box. It's simple, but you have no idea how often in life I've used it for practical reasons. OP responds, she just learned how to do triangle boxes. She uses them for everything too. Honestly, OP gets a 10 out of 10 in my book for just cutting the wire and just calling it good. Like, oh, you're gonna be a bastard to my daughter? Well, fuck you then. Wedding's off. It's nice to see a story from Reddit where the parent chooses their child and not their new significant other, where they're willing to overlook the abuses and damages that they're doing to their children just for the hope of having a happily ever after with this new person. I think OP handled this very well. When she found out what her fiancé was doing, she was angry. She wasn't trying to play both sides, she was pissed. And then, when finding out that this wasn't a one-time deal, rather than trying to make amends or make the fiancé apologize and I promise I'll do better, it was, no, you're a grown-ass man who was bullying a child. Get the fuck out my house. Good shit, OP. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is No Sees Care Pica. I went to Google that for pronunciation and it turns out it's slang for dickhead in Costa Rica, so that's fun. Anyways, originally posted to r/am_I_the_asshole, February 17th, 2021. Would I be the asshole for going to my professor and causing a classmate to fail a project? I, 21 female, am in my last semester in college and will hopefully graduate this May. I'm a first-generation college student and genuinely care about getting good marks. This semester, I'm in a class that involves a group project of 4 people analyzing and proposing policy, which is a large portion of our grade. The project proposal is due on Friday, and my group is seriously slacking. Normally, I'm very understanding because things come up. Life is busy and tiring. People have to juggle internships and jobs and school and mental health, etc. But this is a huge project, and I'm tired of carrying the group. I made a group chat with my group members and assigned them roles because I figured it would be easier to set it apart and get it done. I was fine with taking the bulk of the project as long as I got some help on the other aspects. 2 of my group mates really stepped up and went above and beyond on their portions, but the last member hasn't touched it. One group member pointed out that she's never in lecture, so I reached out just to make sure she was doing okay. She thanked me for the concern, but just explained that where she lives, class is all online, COVID restrictions have lifted, so she's been enjoying her time out at clubs, bars, restaurants, and we'll try to get to the project this week. I asked her to have her portion done by yesterday so we can fine-tune it before it's turned in. She didn't touch it, so I asked her to get it done by today instead. Still nothing. I messaged her this morning about it and she snapped at me, telling me to get off her back and that she'll get it done by tomorrow instead. I'm not entirely trusting of her that she'll get it done, and even so, that leaves 1 day to review the proposal and get it fine-tuned and finish up the conclusion, which is cutting it close for such a large portion of the grade. Evidently, another group had a similar problem, so our professor asked us to speak up if we encounter anything similar so that she can give us individual grades instead of a group grade. I have all the screenshots from our discussions and the editing history on our documents to prove she hasn't done work and why. So, would I be the asshole for sending an email to my professor and having her failed for this portion? Am I overreacting and should I just wait it out for this girl to do the work? Verdict, not the asshole. Top comments. Hey, what's up? It's me! 1. Yeah, not the asshole. She's not doing her part because she's enjoying her time at clubs and bars. If she was undergoing an actual problem and that was the reason she wasn't doing her part, then understandable. But her getting drunk and partying is putting more load on you and your teammates. Talk to your professor. This kind of thing happens all the time. That's the thing about group projects. You have to deal with people of all kinds. In this case, report her to the professor. I've done this before. The professor would understand and maybe even help you out. User Tiger Jackalope comments. As a professor who used to assign group projects, I always wanted students to let me know if a peer was not fulfilling their responsibilities. I would set up checkpoints for large projects. That way, I could intervene early to encourage that student to step up. I would then also grade the team separately. Letting them get carried by the group undermines the educational value for all and isn't practical. Even outside of education, you would go to your manager if a coworker wasn't submitting information needed for a client project. User, I am the greenest field! Comments. Yeah, not the asshole. It would make sense, although it wouldn't be ideal if she was doing the project because of mental health or because she doesn't have good Wi-Fi or something. If she's just going out and clubbing, that's her fucking problem. She's in college. She should know about consequences already. User Patty Cow comments. Absolutely agree. I can't get my work done because I'm too busy living it up. Is not an excuse. Not the asshole, OP. Send your professor everything and ask for individual grades. It's her own fault if she fails. Update. January 19th, 2022, 11 months later. I received a few messages about an update in the past month, and while this happened a while back, I'll try my best to remember details because it may help others who are in similar predicaments. In the end, several more groups came forward with a similar issue, and my professor decided that each group would receive individual grades rather than a group grade, and also require us to fill out group member evaluations. The group member who was not participating ended up filling out her portion of the project last minute when we received the email. It was rough, and there were a lot of inconsistencies and misinformation on her portion. So I reached out and asked if she wanted me to check it over and help her out. She apologized and admitted that she had not been taking the project seriously and was in the wrong. We polished her portion of the project, and she got a decent grade, which she messaged me afterwards to thank me for the help. If I remember correctly, my professor announced that moving forward, she would be grading individually to avoid these problems, but it would still require a group effort for a complete project. But in short, my advice is what a lot of the comments mentioned. Group projects suck. They're there to reflect that in your life, you might also work in groups with people who don't hold up their end of work, and you'll need to adjust as necessary. But don't be afraid to bring it up to someone if it's going to seriously negatively impact you. Most importantly, don't forget to be kind and courteous. While in the end she acknowledged what she did wasn't right and it was frustrating, it all worked out, and I felt better knowing that in the end, I could still help her, and there was no bad blood. I've actually only ever been the low performer in a group project once, and that's because it was a group of 3 and the other 2 would not let me touch a single aspect of the project throughout the entire thing. And I kept trying to help, but they were like, oh no, we'll take care of it. And then, at the end of the project, they were like, yeah, ours just didn't really do anything. It sucks because even when going to the teacher and asking like, hey, this is what happened, here's the communications, I was hit with, well, why didn't you try to step up even harder or come to me or, try to get this resolved by going to an adult? Seems like you just enjoyed the free ride for the project. So that really fucking hurt, and to this day I still think about it because I did actively try to help on the project, but they just wouldn't fucking let me. Joke's on them though, graduated top of my high school class. I would say definitely though, going back to what OP was dealing with, no matter what, even if they're dealing with something in their life, go to the professor. Because if they're unable to work on the project because of a legitimate reason, like, hey, my grandma was out dune buggying and crashed and she's in the hospital right now and I have to take care of her, so I'm a little bit distracted right now, I'm sorry. I'm sure you could work with the professor to either get an extension or even just have things worked out between everyone. I wonder how many people are going to get that reference. But even with the circumstances of they're just not doing their work and they're just kind of like, I'll get it done this week, but they've missed every deadline so far and they're pushing things to the wire, then yeah, still go to the professor. They're not taking their own future seriously, so why should you take their future seriously? And in addition, why should you allow them not taking their future seriously affect your future? When you're on a plane and they're giving you the in-flight safety instructions, they always instruct that you put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you assist others. There's a reason for that. OP definitely showed far more strength than I ever would in a group project, because if the moment that I was being put at risk for something, I'm grabbing those scissors and I'm running right for their strings and I'm cutting them loose. I am not putting up with that one bit. I have been burned too many times, and I definitely play more safe than sorry at this point. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, "Saiyan is not a pogo stick." The original OP is "Throw Away That Cake," posted to r/Am I the Asshole, February 22nd, 2021. Am I the asshole for rescinding my offer to bake cakes for my friend's wedding and potentially ruining their relationship? Lots of COVID-era stories this time around. To preface, this wedding wasn't going to happen until COVID clears up. I'll be using fake names. Those involved are me, 22 female, the bride/friend KEYZ, 24 female, and her fiancé, Adam, 25 male. KEYZ has always loved my cakes, and asked me to make 8 for her wedding late last year. We agreed they'd be one-tier cakes to use as table centerpieces. I loved the idea. We agreed that they'd be decorated a particular way that wasn't too elaborate. I was happy with the arrangement, and super excited by the prospect. Early January, she decided she wanted 3-tier cakes instead, and wanted them decorated much more intricately. The intricacy wanted is nowhere near my ability. I don't really have the free time to learn how to do it either. I have a lot on my plate in my day-to-day life, and I knew even doing the 1-tier cakes would be a little tricky, but absolutely manageable. I politely said I couldn't do that, and tried to offer a compromise. I offered to find a way to do 3-tier cakes, but more simplistic than she'd have liked. I also offered to get her in contact with a skilled friend of mine who I knew could do what she wanted. She'd have to pay, but the price would have been extremely good, and they'd be beautiful cakes, worth every penny. That almost sounds like OP offered to do the cakes for free. She got very angry at this compromise effort. She called me selfish and told me I was sabotaging her big day. Then demanded I do it for her while getting a few of her friends to send me rude and disheartening messages. This was heartbreaking for me, but I told her I could no longer do the cakes, and she got angrier. We haven't talked since that until yesterday. I received a message yesterday, acting like nothing happened, asking me to do the cakes again because I owed her. She said I'd be a useless friend if I didn't. I declined, and she chewed me out again, saying things that were unnecessary, and I'd rather not repeat. I'd had enough. This had already been stressful for me, and I hated being dragged into it. I messaged Adam, sending him some screenshots asking if he'd please make her stop lashing out. She was hurting, but I didn't deserve the things said. I didn't get a reply until today, where he apologized profusely. He told me she'd done this to another friend before me, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back for him, and he was going to call off the wedding until they'd been to counseling together. I thanked him for being understanding, but a few hours later, KEYZ and her friends started harassing and threatening me. It's been horrible. My boyfriend is urging me to cut out KEYZ, but I can't help feeling like an asshole. If I made time to learn, this whole situation wouldn't be happening. So, does that make me an asshole? Am I being selfish? He's reassured me that I'm not, but I could really do with an outside perspective. Verdict, not the asshole. Top comments. This is constant. I've seen a lot of what the fuck wedding drama on here, but this one takes... never mind. Not the asshole. User Italy2986 comments. This is exactly what the fuck drama, and OP needs to send one text. Stop harassing me, or I will call the police for harassment. That needs to be the end of it. If she or her friends don't stop, call the police. You have all the text to back it up. User RidPositRid comments. Not the asshole. Blocker. Block all our minions. You do not need this kind of harassment in your life. Use your fine on him, I the asshole comments. Not the asshole. Your boyfriend is right, KEYZ is not your friend, and honestly, Adam is making the right call by postponing the wedding at all. OP updates the next day, February 23rd, 2021, the same post. Edit/update. Oh my god, I fell asleep last night after posting this and didn't expect to wake up to a response anything like this. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to respond. I'll try and find time to respond to some comments later. To touch on a few things I've seen mentioned, KEYZ is now cut out, as are her friends. People saying I was being a doormat were completely right, and those few saying I needed therapy also were. I've been actively looking for a therapist I click with. I used to be good at recognizing behavior akin to this, but lockdowns have taken a toll on my mental health. A few people mentioned a contract-style situation with a friend discount. I'll definitely do some thinking on that idea to try and help avoid situations like this happening again. For those saying I shouldn't have contacted Adam, I did on the sole basis that this was his wedding as well. I stand by my choice to contact him. For those mentioning getting the police involved, if any further threats happen, I will. I've documented everything that's happened so far just in case. Thank you again for taking the time to hear me out, support me, and give judgment. I really appreciate it. Honestly, the people saying you shouldn't have told Adam, that's kinda ridiculous because Adam dodged a bullet here. The fact that it wasn't just OP and multiple people, and that he was already on the fence on things, tells everyone a lot about what's actually been going on. If I had to guess, having seen this kind of behavior firsthand before, I think KEYZ was spinning quite the tale to tell her little mob of sycophants of what's going on. It wasn't a matter of, oh, I changed what I wanted from my friend and they didn't want to do that. It was, they're backing out of my wedding. My dream wedding's ruined and they won't even tell me why. Or just stuff like that. Never, I'm making expectations too difficult. Always, for some crazy reason, they're backing out of my wedding and my wedding's gonna be ruined now. We have to do something. Which definitely explains why everyone got so wound up and pretty much frothing at the mouth to come to KEYZ's defense and attack OP. On like an additional final note, and this has definitely been something I've brought up in the past, if you're ever in a situation where people who you thought were your friends are jumping to your attack without hearing your side of the story, it usually boils down to this person has told one hell of a tale for what your actions are that paints you in quite an awful light. Meaning they have no problem with spinning a yarn of lies and making you look horrible for no reason, other than that being you're the new villain of the week, the new scapegoat for all the problems. And additionally, if those quote-unquote friends don't even bother to even check in with you, hear your side of the story, hear what's going on from your end, are they really your friends if they have no interest in hearing your side of the story? Especially when they just believed KEYZ in this case, with presumably little to no evidence. Also, I just absolutely love the logic of, oh, my fiancé just called at the wedding because I'm actively attacking people. Well, time to get back to attacking people. This post was collected by Shark Ava, and their tagline is, you get what you pay for and Reddit is free. The original OP is a cum coordinator. Posted in r/relationship advice the 29th of March, 2026, so pretty recent. I, 32 male, found out my partner, 32 female, cheated on me while she was away on holiday. She doesn't know that I know. How do I navigate this? So, I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 7 years now. We've had our ups and downs and have started to go to couples therapy, and we're still going, trying to figure out our relationship. We both are at a point of our lives where we've pressed the fuck it button and chased our dreams. With that, there's been talk of her moving to London. It's something that came up a few years ago. And we thought maybe we'll try a long-distance relationship to see how we go, when that time does come. Basically, in November, she graduated uni and gifted herself a little dance workshop in Africa for all her efforts in graduating, to which I've been there in some of her most hardest times. She left for the camp December, and I went to go meet her there in January. And we had a lovely time, and everything was okay, but things did feel a bit off. The usual things, someone constantly calling her phone, walking off to have chats, shady with messaging. I also told her that this person was calling, and she said she'll call her back. To my surprise, I did some digging, and that her was actually a him. I'll call him K for now. She's been pretty open with her travels and about how some men did try and hit on her. So with that transparency, I didn't think much of it. Fast forward to March, and she ended up flying back out there, as she got some grant funding for work. My alarm bells weren't ringing, but I had a feeling something might be happening. While she was there, we tried to keep in contact, so my guard was lowered for that. She came back different and somewhat disappointed, as she had a very underwhelming experience. She felt lonely and somewhat mothering to some of her friends she made there. This morning, we woke up, she went to the toilet, and I turned her phone alarm off, to which I saw the message from K, saying how much he loved and missed her. Again, the alarm bells went off. Not my proudest moment, but I needed some clarity because of this feeling of betrayal, a feeling I've had before with a previous girlfriend who slept with a dear friend of mine. So I went to her laptop while she was out, and I saw these messages. A lot of messages and pictures between the two of their love and their long-distance relationship. The funny thing is, she found out K has a wife and a daughter, and one of K's replies were about how he was mad at her for asking his friends if he was seeing other women, and how, when she was there, she felt like an afterthought as he didn't show up to things, give her attention or care that she was there, which now makes sense why she felt lonely. Both times she came back with thrush, an oral fungal infection, which was a bit of a red flag, as well as straight away told me to put on a condom as she was getting surgery for a coil, which was another red flag as I guess she didn't want to give me an STI, I suppose. I now have screenshots of the messages, so I'm fairly certain about what I saw. I felt hurt, confused, and unsure how best to approach this conversation with her. Part of me wants to understand what happened before jumping to conclusions, but I'm also struggling with a sense of betrayal. How would you suggest navigating this situation? Has anyone dealt with something similar? And what approach helped you communicate effectively while still respecting your own boundaries? Edit. Thank you all for the comments. Sorry for the slow reply. Had to shoot off for work, but didn't expect to have so many comments. First off, I guess I didn't explain myself too well here. I know I'm going to leave her, knowing that I can never trust her again, as well as her lying to my face, reassuring that nothing ever happened in her time in Africa, is a no-go for me. She knew about my past relationship and my feelings on this, so I knew the moment I read these messages, it confirmed everything, and I know I have to leave. I guess the advice I was wanting was to figure out how to end this all. I guess I need help with how and when should I bring this up? Do I tell her I went through her phone after having the same feeling I had in my previous relationship? Do I tell her one of her African friends messaged me privately and said all this to me? When should I bring this up? Tonight, or should I wait until Thursday, as we have therapy? We have a complex friendship group as I'm really close with her brother and family, so I don't necessarily want to ruin my friendship with her brother. Should I tell her family what she did via message? Should I post this announcement on Instagram? It might look bad on my part to announce this, but I also don't want her to tarnish my name. I don't think she would, but with everything I've read from her exchanges, I don't know what to think. Side note, she lives in my house, so yes, she will be kicked out as soon as we have this difficult conversation. I just want to make sure everything goes clean. I'm trying to be patient and take the necessary steps like the Count of Monte Cristo. Comments. Joe Grogan, 2022. I would probably confront her with her cheating and ask what she did to cause her infidelity and seek to understand why she's emotionally bankrupt with you. Opie responds, like, why has this happened twice in my life now? I might as well become a monk. User Lamb's English comments, and what approach helped you communicate effectively while still respecting our own boundaries? What are you talking about? She's had a whole ass sideman she's been fucking. Kick her out. User Many Ranger 4. I think you need to describe how this looks in more detail for OP, a married sideman that she travels to Africa to from what seems to be somewhere in Western Europe, just to go fuck. By the way, OP, the two words you used, respect and boundaries, you don't have either. Anyone who has a modicum of self-respect and healthy boundaries would leave. There really is no need to even elaborate why. I'm sorry, but this isn't working for me. Good luck with the guy in Africa. Edit, if this trip was to South Africa, 20% of the people, 15 to 49, are HIV positive there. So, get tested. Well, that's a not-so-fun fact I didn't know. Good God. User Respond Opposite comments, buddy, if you're at the point where you're in couples therapy and she's fucking other men, it's over. Just leave. Raindog2 comments, and no kids! You're free, motherfucker, go! Update, 4 days later. First off, I just want to say thank you for all those who read and commented on my situation above. Some posts were more helpful than others, but I appreciate the responses regardless, so thank you. As for things now, they are a lot better. Still barely sleeping, but I'm feeling more comfortable with myself and my situation. I confronted her, she began to lie about knowing the guy, to, we're acquaintances, to, I've met him only a few times, to, we're just friends, to, we kissed, to, I was, I'm sorry, just the medium of doing that, it finally broke me. To, I was unsure about us. I thought he might be boyfriend material. 2, finally, yes, I did fuck him. Took her a while to finally confess, but she finally did. Not sure if it's the entire truth, but at least there's admission. I've kicked her out of the house, and she's staying with a friend. I've asked her to get her stuff out in the next 2 weeks, which she's slowly doing. I've messaged all the people that need to know, and holy hell, I'm feeling loved by everyone. Her family have reached out to me, and I to them, asking them to make sure to check in on her and take care of her, as I can no longer do it for the sake of my own health and protection. Her family have said they were sorry, so it seems like she's being truthful there, but am interested to hear what she says to her friends. I've told my friends the honest truth, and they've showered me with love and hate for her. Oddly enough, though, I don't feel too much hate this time around. More sorry and sad for her because of her actions. She's a lot worse off now than where she was when we first met. I do think she's a good person who's made some bad decisions. She's been trying to call me, which I haven't been picking up, and has been messaging me about house-related things. All peppered with, "I feel like I'm missing a part of myself. I really miss you. I know you shouldn't feel sorry for me, but... etc. Thursday were our couples counseling days, and she messaged me asking if I was going, messaging, "It would be best for both of us to go, but completely understand if you don't want to go. I'm thinking of skipping it as I feel like it's too early to go see her, but I would love to hear your thoughts." She was my best friend for those 7, almost 8 years, so it's difficult to see her struggle and see this side of sadness, guilt, and regret from. I do hope she gets better for the most part. I need to look after myself, stay busy with my creativity and work, and keep in contact with my friends and family. Thanks again to all of you who commented or read this, and if you have any advice on how to handle these next steps, please let me know. Thanks again. Comments. True Believer 14. If she's asking you about attending a couples counseling session, she believes that there's a chance you will reconcile. You should make it abundantly clear that you have no interest. OP responds, "Yeah, I thought I had made that boundary when I confronted her / spoke to her about her actions. I did tell her that the trust is broken and there's no coming back from this. Not entirely sure what her motive for me is going to be honest. Maybe she wants to explain herself and feel less guilty for her actions? I don't know why exactly she wants me to go." True Believer 14 comments again, "She wants you to go so she can try to change your mind. The more contact you have with her, the harder you are making it for yourself to move on with your life." User Allery Rain comments, "Instead of going to couples counseling for a relationship that's over, go to individual therapy for yourself. It's a much better investment. What she's doing is manipulative and self-serving. Don't fall for it. I know you said it's hard to see her struggle after being friends for so many years, but she was not your friend. A friend would not treat you the way she has. Let her deal with her own consequences and spend that time healing yourself. Go no contact with her if she keeps trying to weasel her way into your head with the messages and guilt trips. Protect your own peace." OP responds, "Not gonna lie, she tried to call me the night after the breakup. I saw her number and just froze until it stopped ringing. I asked my housemate about this and he said, 'Dude, it's your time. She's not your priority. You are.' Made me a bit more happy to have control of my own life and not have to think of another person." Okay, so this has been in my mind the entire time I was recording that post because it's been bothering me since Wednesday. Not like bothering me in a bad way, it's just kind of like really, really messed with me. During the live stream, someone said, "Oh, Oz isn't an AI?" And it's just kind of like, it just kind of shocked my system. No shame to the person who asked that because, you know, of the era that we live in, but like, how many of you are just now realizing that I'm actually skin and bones? Well, actually, no, that's a pretty apt description. I am skin and bones. But yes, I do in fact have the weakness of the flesh. And it disgusts me. I'm still recovering from being sick. But onto the actual post itself. Buddy, you made the right choice. It sounds like you were putting her first, but she wasn't putting you first during the entire relationship. And now that she's no longer the priority in anyone's life, especially KEYZ's life, she's now trying to claw her way back into someone's life who did actually care about her. Also, just the palpable irony of her going to KEYZ's friends and seeing if he's seeing other women or not, while she is actively two-timing her significant other who's been by her side for 8 years at this point. Take some time for you, and put yourself first, kind of as you were figuring out at the end of your post there. Don't be afraid to be selfish for a little bit. Welcome to the outro. Have a look around. Anything that brain of yours can think of won't be found. There's just Minecraft and background footage. Some better, some worse. If none of it's of interest to you, well, you wouldn't be the first. Don't forget, Gamer Subs, use code OZ at checkout. Every time you make a purchase using code OZ, it supports the channel directly, which means you get caffeine supplements, 100 servings for $40. Actually, technically $36 because code OZ gives you 10% off. They got caffeine free too, don't worry. And you directly support me, Eyes. So yeah, it works out.